Welcome to Conversations in Horror. I am your host, Kevin L. Powers, and I am actually a special guest for my own show, as I've allowed two of my other special guests to take over as they go through their top 5 best and worst films of 2023. Originally, this was filmed as just before our original episode that we decided to have fun with, but it's a great idea to actually do top lists between us guests about horror and everything else. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into this outtakes special episode. We hope that you enjoy it, and just keep in mind that it's pretty rough, as we didn't know what we were doing until after we started doing it. So we hope you enjoy Conversation of Horror, Outtakes, and Rough Cuts.
Okay, so Phil, I need to know what your top 5 and low 5 were.
Yes.
That you mentioned yesterday.
Yes. All right. So, my top. So I'll start with my bottom 5. So in context, 5 is like. So 1 is the worst.
Yes.
Same thing with the best. Like 1 is the best. So, my first, I'll go with my bottom 5. Number 5 is Gran Turismo. Because it's basically just a commercial for the video games.
Yeah.
It's the most generic sports movie. The only good part is David Harbour, and even his role is just the generic coach. It's just that David Harbour's a good actor, so he actually is more makes it interesting. But yeah, number 4 is 65. It's just Adam Driver shooting dinosaurs, which wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the fact that, first of all, if they do the generic, let's do the gruffy lone wolf
who adopts a kid. Yeah. Which
Yeah.
everybody did in the last 3 years.
Oh my gosh, I'm freaking finally watching the Halo series because they put it free on YouTube, and they did the same thing there. I'm just like, why? It's so bad. I'm so tired of that trope. That trope is it's because it's getting used too often. I'm tired of it. But it's my biggest thing too is with 65 too was they were like, everyone speculated that, is this going to be 65 might mean they're on Earth. I can tell you they spoil that in the first 15 minutes. They go
exactly.
They immediately tell you. And I'm just like, why? I'm like, that was the only interesting thing in the movie, and you've already spoiled the fact that yes, it is on Earth. I'm like, stupid. Number 3 is Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny. It really sucks because I love James Mangold. So when I found out he was directing, I was so excited. And then it's just, you've got Harrison Ford punching out people that he should not be punching out. You've got
my Indiana Jones.
So 65 and Indiana Jones were both part of my indifferent pool. They were not even on my worst 5.
I enjoyed 65. It was an interesting concept, but I think it would have worked better as an indie film than as a mass-produced studio film, which is how it was marketed.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the reasons why it failed so badly. It was because it wasn't what they saw the trailer, and that's not what they got. They got this almost indie film that was kind of stuck in between being a studio film and an indie film.
Well, I said, my issues with 65 is that, it was advertised it's Adam Driver shooting dinosaurs, which is fine. One of the worst things I thought they did, which it would have been fine if it, like you said, if it was a short film, was the whole speculation of 65 was, is this going to be revealed that it's going to be on Earth? And they revealed that in the first 15 minutes of the movie. And it's okay, there's no speculation for the rest of the movie about
this was in the trailer, dude.
They don't reveal it in the trailer. They don't actually say it outright in the trailer.
They did it 65 million years ago. I think that's pretty obvious that people are going to assume that they end up in the past.
That must have been like the second trailer because I didn't see in the first trailer.
I was like, that's that, the ideal though that, that the human-like characters are aliens who come to visit Earth 65 million years ago. That's different. But I think it's kind of like that Planet of the Apes type thing. It depends on where you think humans fit within the confines of the history of Earth. Who came first? Were humans actually like in the X-Files, which we weren't? We were manufactured here or came here as aliens or some shit like that. Since that's essentially what the X-Files tried to say. Among stuff like Prometheus, who tried to say the same fucking thing. The
other issue with 65 was it's been a common trope right now in Hollywood. They're doing the lone wolf and the young cub storyline, and I thought that it just did not work that well.
Super overdone right now.
Super overdone. Again, like the biggest thing I was hearing, like people state and stuff, is that you especially get the lone cub who like doesn't know can't speak the same language, and they established early on that like, okay, she like kind of gets it, but sometimes not. And then halfway through the movie, he'll just say stuff, and she's like, "Got it," and it's like, just completely blow over the fact that it's just like she can't understand him for half the movie. I mean, that could have been interesting, but they half-assed it already. It's like, if I do like this hand sign, she's like, "Oh yeah, I got you. I know what you're talking about," because movie logic.
Well, it's not so much movie logic. It depends on your history of movies. That's something that's been around since the 60s. There's literally an entire film series called Lone Wolf and Cub. That is exactly that trope, and there's like 30 fucking movies that follow that whole thing.
Yeah.
Even Aliens follows the same damn thing.
Yeah.
With it becomes a fucking Catwoman movie did the same damn thing where you have the kid. Whenever you throw a kid in a movie like that, any movie, you have that automatic thought process that one of them is the kid's going to be the young person who doesn't know shit that has to be trained by the older person, the mentor. Elektra did the same thing. It's the thing that people get tired of that, but they keep thinking that that's actually a trope that people want to watch.
What you're saying is somebody needs to create a movie where the young person teaches the old person some new tricks.
They did do it. It's called what is it? It's not called Hit Girl. It's what the fuck is Kick-Ass?
Oh yeah.
They did it in
point.
Kick-Ass.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
And you know what? People thought it was too fucking violent.
Okay, so number 2, Phil.
But the real quick with with that, the only time I was fine with that, I thought they did a good twist of it was Logan, because the scene when she starts like talking, but she's talking in Spanish, and Logan's like, "You can talk this entire time."
I love Logan. It's such a good movie.
It's such.
I'd have to rewatch it. I like parts of it for some reason, but
They do the black and white version, and it's totally worth it.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 5 was Gran Turismo, because again, it's just the most generic sports movie ever. David Harper's the only thing good in that movie.
Sports movies are all going to be like that, dude. Sports movie, it doesn't matter what sport it is. They have this weird little thing, this trope where they all kind of do the same fucking thing. And unfortunately for that movie, and like Ferrari, they did it really, really well with the other one with Christian
Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was fucking brilliant, but you can't do it now. You need to wait 10 fucking years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 2, the 2 and 1 is slightly controversial, but number 2 is Wish. The reason it is because it's an okay movie, but it's one of those movies, the more you find out about what it could have been, it just lowers the quality of the movie for myself. Because, like, if you ever watch Once Upon a Wish, that was the original concept of the movie. It was supposed to be, they're supposed to take characters from every single Disney property and put them in the movie. But they halfway through, executives went through and was like, nah, we're just going to make a generic princess movie. And it's the most generic. Some of the songs are just god-awful.
Yeah, I heard the one that Chris Pine sings, and I was like, what is this? This is like atrocious. and generic.
It's Disney. Why are you even thinking Disney could come up with anything that's remotely?
Hey, Rapunzel was very good. Tangled.
Again, like
you got the movie title wrong. How can it be possibly good if you get the movie title wrong?
Because it's Rapunzel.
I don't know. I just thought that was okay at best. I haven't. Disney.
Number one is Beau's Afraid. Yes.
I knew she was gonna say that. I'm surprised.
My problem with Beau's Afraid is
3 hours long.
I was so excited when I saw the trailers. I think it goes on too long. I actually almost walked out of the movie because problem is it goes on too long. And I know I'm in the minority of this one. It goes on too long. I got immediately what the story was trying to tell me halfway through the movie. So the fact that it keeps going on and on and on.
What was it trying to tell you, Phil?
What were you trying to read in that movie, Phil?
Well, it's about one thing that I didn't like. I was seeing a reviewer talk about it too that I agree with is it kind of somewhat makes fun of men's anxiety to a point at times, which I mean they've got a giant the stuff with the dad I knew they were gonna go somewhere like that, and they did.
So you're getting the point, but you're missing the point. It's not just about men's anxiety. It's about general anxiety and narcissistic parenting and growing up with that rough kind of childhood, which for me, it really hit close to home. Like, yeah, it was a little long, and that center section of what life could be like was like, okay, this is droning on and on and on. But the beginning where it's the overexpulsion of everything anxiety, and it's like that's what an anxious person goes through every day, of every little thing is exploded into 1,000 things. Like, I don't want to leave my house because I could have to deal with this or this or this or this.
Yes, I love like the beginning sections of stuff, like again, like when he's like running back into his apartment because he thinks everyone's after him, when he thinks someone like again broke into his apartment, like everything before he goes on the journey. I like
when the spider in the bathtub becomes a guy on the ceiling.
Yes, like what started to bother me is really after the sex scene, everything after that was to me already kind of nailed. To me, felt like repetition of like where I almost walked out was at the part where he's in the Coliseum, because everything there I'm like, okay, I get it. You've already covered the point. Yes, it's about like even this potential where he's killed his mother and stuff, and he's still feeling the anxiety and he's still feeling the like self-doubt and stuff. And I'm like, okay, yes, I get it. You've already hammered that home 2 hours ago. I've already gotten that point, and I thought that just drawn on way too long.
I really like that because, like, I could tell from the beginning, because I have a narcissistic mother myself, and I have dealt with a lot of the things that have happened in the movie, where you get there's a whole community where they call the friends of the narcissistic parent flying monkeys. And throughout the movie, he encounters these flying monkeys without realizing that they work for the mother's company. Like Nathan Lane and that whole family worked for the mother. So all these people who say they're trying to help you, but in reality are passing all this information back on to your parents. And then at the end where they guilt trip you on Facebook or whatever else of, look at how awful my children are. Look at what they've done to me. And that was what it is basically you constantly feel like you're being put on trial for you trying to do your own thing and lead your own life. Meanwhile, your parent is telling you how awful of a human being you are because you're trying to get away from this awfulness. But I know the movie wasn't for everybody. It was
polarizing, yeah.
It really was. A lot of people didn't like it and didn't get it, but it was one of his first projects he ever wrote, and he wanted to make because it hit so close to home.
Yeah.
So I thought it was brilliant. It's actually my number 3 on my top movies of the year.
Yeah, it's honestly, I think the biggest sin for me was that it just needed to be cut down. It didn't need to be 3 hours. I think
it didn't need to be, but yeah.
Well, the thing is, the length of a movie is a subjective thing, because you can say that about this movie, but then the same people are going to say the same thing about Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
And the thing is, for some of us, watching the amazing cinematography in that movie and the fact that they go on for longer than they probably should have is actually part of the enjoyment of the movie.
Yes.
It's the same thing with Beau is Afraid. I haven't seen it yet, but I've read both sides of the why it's so long and stuff like that. But I get the same. The thing is, some people are not like as visually storytelling wise, like Martin Scorsese. Martin Scorsese does a 3.5 hour movie, and you rarely feel that 3.5 hour movie. And there's a lot of stuff that's added in there because he builds entire worlds. And something like Blade Runner 2049, even though it's building an entire world, is really a small little world.
Yeah.
You're following these characters for a very long time, long scenes.
There's a lot of room to breathe, though, inside the world. Whereas Scorsese, it just keeps going and going and going and going.
That's why, like, I saw Killers of the Flower Moon, and again, that movie's like, I think, what, three?
It's long, yeah.
It's a long movie, and I didn't feel it. Like,
most people don't. But he's been doing this shit for like 4 or 5 fucking decades. He has got a formula down for doing 3.5 hour movies. The guy is a genius. He puts you in front of a film for 3.5 hours and you don't feel it because you're like, holy shit, this is Gangs in New York. Holy shit, this is Silence. Holy shit, this is Killers of the Flower Moon. And he just keeps doing it. Casino and every one of them, like, you don't feel it. But you know, Beau is Afraid.
I mean, the director himself comes out and calls it a Jewish odyssey. So I mean, if you're looking at that and it's an odyssey, it's gonna be long.
It's gonna be long. And I haven't seen it yet because I wanted to be able to sit down and watch it and not be distracted. Unfortunately, as you now know, having 2 kids running around the entire house all the time is a little bit of a distraction sometimes. So I have to pick and choose when I can sit down and watch the longer movies or disappear from the wife and go to the movies for 3 hours.
I have 2 mentions of most disappointed and Dark Horse. Dark Horse is a movie I didn't think would be as good, but ended up being amazing. Most disappointed is Five Nights at Freddy's. You do again, halfway through the movie forgets it's a horror movie. I don't think it forgets it's a horror movie. I see. The thing is, the audience for that is not an older adult. That damn franchise has been homogenized and taken away by kids and teenagers. The games and everything. That is not for a horror fan or adult. That is specifically designed for a specific age group that has now taken that to a pop culture reference. I have never played the game, never read the graphic, never read the book. When I saw the movie, I was like, I was like, is this for fucking kids or is this for adults?
This is the CW version, and that's why I really enjoyed Willy's Wonderland, which was supposed to be the original one, and then they lost the rights at the last minute that they couldn't keep making it, so that's why they called it Willy's Wonderland instead of Five Nights at Freddy's.
Willy's Wonderland is for adults. Five Nights at Freddy's is for the younger audience, like the pre-teen/teen thing, and that's why it was so successful. It hit its target audience, and that's why it is the way it is. For an older, you see him in the background. He's trying
to. His face keeps getting through the blur.
Yeah, because I told him he could watch TV after he finished doing this coloring. Did you finish it? Okay, I'll go let you watch TV. Good thing you got me before we started our actual conversation. But I don't think that was a bad movie at all. I think it was specifically designed for the audience it was for. It made a shit ton of money for the company, and they're going to make another one. I don't think I think that you're right in that the tone shifts halfway through the movie, but I think that's because the audience for the movie is not like a horror audience. And I think when I went in, I was thinking this is going to be some killer fucking puppet stuff, and that really isn't what it's about.
No, it was very CW horror, and I feel like they wasted killing Matthew Lillard in the first one. I understand where they're going with it based on the lore, but I hate that they killed him in the first one and revealed that he was the big bad.
Yeah, it's one.
Well, I saw that from the very beginning when I saw Matthew.
Oh,
yeah, everyone predicted, like, you don't cast Matthew Lillard if you're not going to do something big with him. My thing, too, with it is that I am excited for a sequel because I hope that they learn from some of the criticisms that was given. It's one of those things of also, like, the weird logic of having your main character sleep through half the movie because he's trying to figure out, like, how his what happened to his brother was a very convoluted way to go about things. But I don't know.
It was, but it made the movie more interesting because it wasn't a straightforward slasher flick. I think having that whole dream logic thing is what made it interesting for me because I was, like I said, stop it. I was expecting a straightforward slasher flick, and that's not what I got. That's one of the aspects that made it more interesting for me. Now, the thing is, it's not a great movie. It is entertaining as shit, and I can't stand Josh Hutcherson. So
you need to watch. What was the Hulu show?
The one that is on my list.
It's not on Hulu anymore. It's unstreamable everywhere. Yeah. You have to pirate it now.
Yeah, well, yeah, because Disney is pulling shit arbitrarily because they don't want to pay residuals. They got that shit from Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers didn't want to pay residuals, so they started pulling shit.
It makes me so angry.
It's going to get worse because the way the actors and tech people have wanted money for residuals from streaming is going to make it worse. That's not a good thing. It's worse. They're just going to start pulling shit.
Oh yeah.
That isn't making money in their eyes, and you will not be able to see it until someone up above decides to remake it, and then they'll bring it back out before the remake comes out.
Oh yeah. It's why you can't find Shadow of a Vampire anywhere.
That's what. And the thing is this: when people weren't demanding residuals for everything that was streaming, it was perfectly fine for the companies to have all this shit on there.
Yeah.
Because they weren't paying residuals on it, so it was easily available. Sorry, you've made it controversial. You're gonna be missing a lot of shit now. So if you don't own a hard copy of it, or if you're like Disney, and Disney decided, well, we're gonna pull it. But now everyone's complaining that we pulled it, so now we have to put it out on physical media. So now you see all the Marvel shows are coming out on physical media and all the other stuff because now it's controversial for them. It's like, well, we gotta make everyone happy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
So
Dark Horse was Dungeons and Dragons.
That movie was fun.
That was so
it was
good.
So fun. Did not think it was going to. I did not have high expectations. So the fact that it was really fun, I was like, yes.
I was expecting to be horrible, like really horrible.
I thought they weren't going to be able to pull it off, but they did so good, and I hope they do like the whole Fast and the Furious franchise where they keep building it and keep adding more and more characters, and they up the stakes every movie because it would be genius.
They can't because that one didn't make a shit ton of money.
Oh, I know. It's so disappointing.
It is really disappointing. It's really disappointing. Come on, let's go.
Because that was my number one of the year as well.
That movie was so fucking fun. I've seen it 3 times now. I don't watch anything. I watched it by myself thinking, I don't know about this movie. And then I got my wife to watch it. Like, this shit's fucking hilarious. And I laugh every time I see it.
It's good.
That's probably my favorite Chris Pine movie ever. Because I just think he was okay in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Anybody can be fucking Captain Kirk if it's not William Shatner, in my opinion. Sorry. Anybody can fucking be Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
But that dude did an amazing job in that movie.
So you said that was your number one, Phil?
No, that was my Dark Horse. It did not make my top 5. It was so close. It's like 6. It's 6.
I need to know what your top 5. I do have 6 as well. I doubled number 3.
Okay, so actually, before we do that, do you have a worst list that you want to go?
Yes. So my worst list starts with Suitable Flesh as number 5. I don't know if you saw it. It was a horror movie with Heather Graham. And
I heard about it.
It was an interesting storyline, and it just felt like one of those like overdone, overplayed demon in a body trying to move flesh. So yeah, it was just it was okay. Wasn't my favorite. Number 4 was Hell House Origins. Because I don't know if you've seen any of them, but the first one is like one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. Like, it goes against the rules of horror of like, you're safe under your bed sheets, but not in this movie. And they do so much with so little. It's a haunted house that they are like doing a documentary on a bunch of people who disappeared. And the first one is just phenomenal. It's totally worth the watch. The rest of them are not great.
Yes.
So I'm doing my worst 5 of the year. Suitable Flesh was my number 5.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
It's Heather Graham. It was okay. It wasn't great. Hell House Origins was my number 4. I'm
I like those movies.
Well, so I do too. I really liked the first one. It was one of the few movies that gave me nightmares.
Okay.
Because I hate clowns. So the clown thing walking around scares me. And so this one I was really hopeful for. It does go back to the beginning and like with the clowns and stuff like that, but it's all the same stuff from the first movie. It's like it's a story that's like, okay, you just basically moved it to a new location. There's nothing else interesting here.
It's part 4, so they kind of
Yeah.
sometimes have to go back to the original again.
Well, and so they get it with the original jump scares. There's some really good scares in it, but it's the same exact scares from the first one.
Okay.
Number 3 was Ant-Man Quantumania.
I
thought it was really, really bad. Like there were parts of it that made me laugh, but it was just not good. Go ahead.
Ant-Man Quantumania. I thought about putting that on my list. I reserved it and put it on the indifferent list. The issues with it is Jonathan Majors is great. It sucks what everything happened to him, but I thought he was really good as a villain. But yeah, well, first of all, you've got your freaking that was another movie that executives went through and screwed up the ending.
Yeah,
because I thought it would have been a lot better. Because in the original, King does escape. Like in the original, he does escape, and Ant-Man does get trapped in the quantum realm, but they were like, that's too much like the last movie.
Yeah.
So we're just going to change it. And I'm like, so you're telling me that this is like Thanos getting beat by Guardians of the Galaxy? There are no longer stakes because it's like you got your big baddie beaten by one of your characters. It doesn't matter anymore. And also that movie suffers so much for green screen effect. Like,
it goes like almost to DC with how
about?
bad.
All of the fucking Marvels is nothing but CGI. What you talking about?
But no, like Guardians of the Galaxy, they do make a bunch of the scenery and sets that go in front of it, and so it does feel like you're in the actual world. You know it's CGI, but there are parts of it that are real, so it fits well. Whereas like with DC, it's just a giant CGI blur. And that was basically Ant-Man. But yeah, number 2 was Meg 2 because I just didn't care.
I love Meg 2, even though it doesn't follow the book at all.
And then my number 1, I was so excited to see this movie, and I have not seen this movie because it has made me irrationally angry what they did with it, but it is Knock at the Cabin.
I love that movie.
Did you ever read the book?
No, I have not read the book because the thing is this, thankfully I can divorce myself from the book from a movie. I know a lot of people can't. But I can go into both reading a book and watching a movie, knowing beforehand that there's just so much you can condense to make a movie. And as a writer, I love to throw extra shit in my stories that will not ever translate.
And I get that, but they changed the entire ending of the movie.
I would have been fine with that. It's the same with what M. Night Shyamalan did with Old. The original story, the Old is just it's okay. The movie is so much better than the fucking graphic novel it's based on. It's the same with Snowpiercer. Snowpiercer is a horrible fucking comic book. Horrible. Yeah. The movie is fucking brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. But no, like what is it? Knock at the Cabin. It was Cabin at the End of the World was the book. I read some of the author's other stuff, and it was great. Like Head Full of Ghosts is a phenomenal story. So I read this after finding out that he was making this into a movie. Super excited about the cast and everything like that. And then
Batiste is amazing. He's the best part of the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I was really excited for it. And then spoilers, because Phil, have you seen it?
Yeah, no, I'm on your side. Me and Kevin talked about this movie a while back.
Yeah.
My biggest issue with it is the fact that I love with both Old and Knock at the Cabin, M. Night's twist is not even a twist. It's the explanation.
Well, no, he's not trying to do twists. Everyone keeps thinking he's trying to do a twist. He hasn't done a twist in a long time.
Yeah.
It's just something that he unfortunately got saddled with early on in his films. There's not really a twist. It's just like The Visit. There's no twist. It's just a reveal of what actually happened. The old people are not really their grandparents. That's not a twist. It's not a twist. That's what it happens in any mystery. It's not a twist.
Yeah.
It's just the way it's a reveal.
But no, the original ending is the daughter gets shot in the fight instead of the husband. Mm-hmm. And the whole point of book is like them trying to find a safe place for their daughter, and in all of their arguing and misdoings to each other, they end up killing the one innocent character who is trying to help both sides. And it is just heartbreaking. And then they go off into the distance, not knowing if what everything going on the TV was the end of the world, if it actually happens or not. They're just limping down the road because they can't drive any of the cars. They can't escape. So they have no idea what's in store for them. And I was like, as soon as I heard they changed the ending, I was like, nope, can't.
It's open-ended. It's an extremely well-done movie.
Yeah.
But the thing is, trying to get a studio to back them killing
a child
at the end of the movie is going to be hard to begin with. You could, I mean, unless you're an indie film and you're, it's going to be hard because the moment that gets out, that's when you have the parents of people say, I cannot believe this movie was made, blah, 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 blah. You'll never get, studios aren't stupid.
I know. But
then A Quiet Place kill a child in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. They do at the very beginning in Quiet Place. But also keep in mind, A Quiet Place, who produced A Quiet Place?
That was an indie one, the first one that came out, and then I think
remember who produced it, though.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Now that's a whole franchise.
But yeah, with the ending, I agree with you, Sarah. I didn't mind the changing of who dies. My biggest issue was the fact they don't leave it fully open-ended, because at the end they go to a diner and they basically it basically almost confirms that that it was correct, and I didn't like that. I would have liked a lot better open-ended, where again, you don't know. They walk out and they don't know if the death was worth it. That's what drove, overall the movie, I was actually enjoying it, but that did ruin the movie for me, was the diner scene at the end, where they basically said, oh yeah, no, basically it was real. I'm like, great.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind that that's essentially what the Shyamalan did with Old too. Old in the original graphic novel was open ended, but he gives if you ever read the graphic novel, because it's boring, it's not really good. It's a great concept, but they don't explain shit in the graphic novel. It's the same with Snowpiercer, because it's fucking French. French people are fucking weird. I keep reading French comic books. Those fuckers are weird. But they're old. They don't explain, the main characters don't ever escape the island. They are more or less stuck there, and she knows that she's going to die soon. And you don't get the idea that it's an experiment with a whole bunch of the corporation trying to figure out all the different ways to use this for medical purposes and all that other shit. That's something M. Night Shyamalan completely added. It's all completely fabricated. None of that's in the graphic novel. None of it. He wanted to give an explanation for it, and a definite explanation for it, which is what it needed in this to make a mainstream film. It's okay to do a open-ended film, but you know how often it's done by companies that aren't A24.
Yeah.
See, I actually don't mind. See, I think if you're going to have an explanation, it has to be interesting enough to warrant it. Old, I was fine with, because like you said, I actually think that reveal was interesting. It was interesting enough to reveal, to answer the questions for the audience. For Knock at the Cabin, they don't, because it's not like God comes down and goes, yes, I did this because I wanted to do X, Y, and Z. It's a half-ass explanation of you just know, oh, it was real.
Yeah.
But you don't know why it was real. You know why it actually happened.
You don't need to know why. It's like Revelations. What do they call it? I think it's Revelations in the Bible.
I think so, yeah.
It just happens. You don't know why it happens. It just happens, and everyone's fucked. Pretty much. If you ever saw the movie The Remaining, which is all about the revelations, and no one knows what the fuck's happening. People are just dying, but they're not really dying. They're ascending. The people who are left behind are the people who are going to hell. They find out through trial and error, but Knock at the Cabin, I think, is the same thing. You have a bunch of people who believe it's the end of the world, and they have to go to this place because of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and force this couple to sacrifice someone. They can't kill them themselves. They're forced to sacrifice. And, eventually they cut the couple, the gay couple and the child realize that, yes, it is the end of the world. It's the person apocalypse, and one of them sacrifices himself, therefore saving the rest of us, and for to wait to the next revelation / apocalypse.
Because does he? I can't remember. Does he kill himself in the movie, or do one of them kill him?
They kill him. They have to make. I think they have to make the sacrifice. The four horsemen can't do it for them. They have to do it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think what happens is, I'm trying to remember. I think the partner, like, he gives the partner the gun and says, "You got to kill me," and he shoots him.
Okay, yeah, because in the book, what's his name? Who plays Drax?
Dave Bautista. His character fights one of the husbands for the gun. They're both fighting over it because he's like, I'm just gonna have to shoot one of you guys. We're getting too close. We're down to the last one or two of us, and it's almost time. And they're fighting over the gun, and they don't know who pulls the trigger, but it ends up being instead of it going this way, it goes to the side and it shoots the daughter in the face.
No, it's definitely in the movie that they sacrifice, because the four horsemen can't interfere with that.
Yeah, well, actually, and the reason why I will say, Sarah, look it up on YouTube, because they don't do that. Drax Dave Bautista has a great scene about that, because he basically sits in the thing, and he's just like, he just starts telling them about his life, and he's like, listen, you may or may not believe, but you got to do it because I can't do anything about it. I can't help you guys with this at the end of the day. And he kills himself. And it's so and they're all just watching him, I think he slits his throat and stuff. And it's just so empowering, because right after that, they check his body. They find a picture of him with a bunch of students and stuff, so they know he's telling the truth. Again, Dave Bautista is the best part of that movie. He's such a good actor.
I've heard that. And see, like I said, it changes it changes the entire outlook of the movie, because in the book, his character is just in shock because he loved the daughter. Everybody was like, we're not sacrificing her, and it was which of the husbands is going to die. She was the one innocent who was not going to be touched, because both sides really liked her. I mean, one, it's their daughter, and the other, she's a kid. And she was like, no, let's just calm down. She doesn't go out and Home Alone it or anything like that. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, Bautista's character goes into shock, and then the one husband just starts beating the shit out of him until he's dead. So it's a completely different ending.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the aspects of the story are completely different, because each of the four horsemen kill themselves in the movie. They all sacrifice themselves when it's their time.
Yeah, in their little circle, they do it the way that they need to. I think they sacrifice two of them, and then I think the dads kill one of them in the book.
See, if they had done that in the movie, then there would be a question as whether or not what's going on in the outside world is real or not. I think them each killing themselves is a definite.
Well, remember, actually, one does get killed by the fathers. Remember, because he gets shot. He gets shot,
but he doesn't. But it's not like he dies. That's what's his face? Rupert Grint.
Rupert Grint. Yeah.
Yeah, what the fuck his name is?
Rupert Grint gets sacrificed. It's the girl. The girl.
Oh yeah, the girl's the one. Yeah. Because that's what happens in the book too. Because they decide to kill Rupert Grint because he's a little too aggressive with everything that he's doing.
Yeah, I was surprised he was the first one to go.
Yeah.
That was
got him back, and they kill him.
Yeah, because in the book they reveal that his character enjoys killing the people a little too much, and he has a history of it.
I forget what his history was in the movie, but I get it.
So what happens in the movie is, because the father, one of the partners is like, I recognize you, and he's like, you're the one who got into a physical fight with me because I was gay. And they were like, no. And then finally, when he dies, they go through stuff and they find his wallet, and he's like, this is it. His name, the name he gave out earlier was fake. And so that's why they theorize, okay, this might be, they might be doing this against us because we're gay.
Yeah. Yep. Kevin, what are your top 5 worst movies?
Worst movies? I couldn't even tell you.
Oh, you didn't do Phil's homework?
Fuck no. Phil's homework. Phil's homework is homework that I don't ever do often. I can always look though. But I cause I keep track of all the shit I watch for the year because I write all my fucking reviews and shit.
Same. That's how I keep track of mine.
Oh no, I had to go through IMDb and find out what I watched that came out this year alone.
Oh geez, nah. I haven't done my year of reviews yet. Normally I would have done it or started doing it already, but I haven't done it already because I've been too busy working on the podcast.
I need to finish posting mine. I've started typing it out, but I haven't posted.
I need to start keeping track of what I watch.
I watched less movies this year than I did last year. I always have a goal. My goal for last year was 250 new films. I only got around to 214.
Yeah, because I did this year for Halloween, instead of watching our favorites, we did one new one we have never seen each day. So that was like 30 days of new movie.
Nice.
I will say one of my top movies was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
That was my number 5.
Don't be
talking about best. We'll get to that. One
of the worst was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I thought that was a piece of shit.
I didn't see that one, so I
really?
can't help you there.
I thought that was a piece of shit. I do not, dude. I'm a hardcore Turtle fan. You don't fucking rewrite the goddamn history of the characters, dude.
Yeah.
You don't rewrite them, and I can't stand Seth Rogen and his fucking writing partner and all that shit. So they already had strikes against them on my part. But when they rewrote the fucking story, that's when they got like, dude, this is fucking stupid. I watched it with my son, and this is fucking stupid because they kept doing stupid shit because that's the way Seth Rogen thinks. He thinks stupid shit is funny. The shit is not, dude. I can't stand Seth Rogen. When they told me he took over the reins, I was like, shoot me now. And I gave it a chance. I let my son watch it. My son watched it. He enjoyed it. I was like, this is some stupid shit. I'm like, dude, stupid shit. I can't believe that this made stupid shit. That's one of the worst movies I saw this year. I was like, God damn it. Sorry. That's one of the worst. 2023. Oh, The Creator is one of my favorites of the year. I fucking love The Creator. I thought
we'll talk about best later, Kevin.
I'm just going down to 2023. Mine are in alphabetical order, so I gotta actually go through stuff. So when I say best and worst, you just get in the idea that I can always go back and the Dungeons and Dragons, we've already said that was one of my favorites. Yeah. Exorcist Believer, not good. Not, you already talked about that. It's one of mine. For this,
I actually am surprised the Exorcist Believer wasn't on your bottom, Sarah.
I'm a little biased, but I also thought, like I said, if it wasn't based entirely on the old series, it would have been a decent movie. Yeah. It's just the fact that it was based on some of the original characters. It was like, this isn't The Exorcist.
I loved Godzilla -1. I thought that what was this? The fucking what the hell is that damn movie? I just saw it on my list. I wished Insidious: The Red Door had been better.
Same.
I thought that was a letdown. They should have just left it alone. They should have just left it alone. I like the Meg the Trench. Sorry. But I didn't want that to be like the book anyways. Natty Knox was god awful. That's one of my worst films I've seen this year. And I was hoping that would be actually good. Directed by Dwight Little, who did Halloween 4 and a bunch of other good horror films. This movie was supposed to go theatrical, but because of the writer strike and everything else, they decided to dump it straight to streaming. And it stars Bill Moseley and I think Robert Englund and Danielle Harris. It was god awful. I was like, Dwight, what has happened to you? You used to do suspenseful horror movies like Halloween 4, and there's a bunch of other ones I can't think of right now. And then you come out of your weird little semi-retirement and you do one of the worst movies I've seen all year, and you say, I've been waiting years to do this movie. Really? This is horrible. What the hell is wrong with you? You got worse? Oppenheimer I love. I love The Nun too. I don't care what y'all motherfuckers say. God damn it, I love The Nun too.
I just finally saw The Nun this year, and I was like,
I love The Nun.
This is the jump scare bullshit I don't care about.
You know what? But the thing is, it's very effective jump scares.
Yeah.
I saw both of them at the theater, and I know how many people did not like the Nun movies. There's like this huge group of people who hate the Nun movies, and then there's a group of people who like the Nun movies. And I like watching those with an audience because I like watching people jump. And I was like every time I watched the Nun and the Nun Tale, like I remember when I saw the theater and the motherfuckers jumping in front of me. I was like, this motherfuckers.
I liked it better. Her jump scares better in The Conjuring 2. I thought the Nun's jump scares were better in that one.
There's no denying that's a great movie.
Yeah.
Conjuring 2.
But yeah, but no, I don't like jump scare movies. I feel like they're cheap. They're good to watch with groups of people when you're like trying to have fun and like show people like this is what horror can be. But then if you want something to actually think about, those are my big movies.
I was not a fan of Resident Evil Death Island.
My husband wasn't either. He was disgusted with that.
It was like a retread of the bad parts of some of the other animated films. I'm like, dude, how can you not get this right yet? Like, you keep taking the bad parts of those animated movies and putting them in another bad animated movie.
Yeah.
What was the one I love? Saw 10. That's
okay.
The best sequels of the entire franchise. Didn't care for Scream 6. I just thought it was okay.
I enjoyed it. I figured it out like a third of the way into the movie. But yeah, I enjoy Scream. Scream is one of my favorite franchises, so I always
see. I mean, Scream 7 is just going to hell.
Huh?
And then Scream 7's just going to hell. Like that. Like the more and more stuff comes out with this, like it's done. Just go ahead and just cancel it.
Yeah, because Scream was the original like horror parody. It was way too smart for what it was doing, and they knew how to call it throughout the show with what's his name's character, Jamie Kennedy's character.
Yeah. Which is why I like the first two Screams.
Yeah, the third one really jumps the shark, but at the same time, I thought it was really funny because they're in Hollywood and they're doing.
Yeah, it had Parker Posey. I'm sorry, I love Parker Posey. She's
the whole thing. Carrie Fisher is the underground like secretary of everything. I thought was hilarious. And the fact that they throw in it's her half brother, I was like, okay, what is this bullshit?
Scream 4, I hated. I have never seen that other than the one time I originally saw it.
I thought it was a great return to kind of the original stuff after
the fifth one.
Wait, which one was the fourth one? Was that the one with Emma Roberts?
Yes.
Where they bring it into the new age and they live stream everything? Yeah.
Yes.
I really enjoyed that because they were bringing it into the new age.
I thought Scream 5 was a much better way of doing that.
Because I'm trying to remember, which one was 5 then?
5 is the first one with the new characters, the real new characters who are taking over the franchise, who are all now gone. So they can't. I'm like, I don't know what you're gonna do with the new one, you guys. Start all over again. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was one of those things. Like I watched it and I was like, okay, I'm glad that they're getting away from some of the original people. We can have some like new characters doing this, and I thought it was fun. But
okay, I gotta ask you about this because this is one of the worst movies for me. But for some reason, critics seem to like this piece of shit movie, Skinamarink.
I thought that movie was fucking trash.
I thought that movie was a piece of shit. And I still don't understand why critics like this movie.
Because it's something new and exciting, and I'm like, this is the most boring piece of trash you've ever seen. It could have been 10 minutes long.
Philip knows I like my experimental films. I like my experimental films. That movie was not testing my ability to stand in front of there and watch that shit. I thought
it was. I forgot about that. I blocked it out of my head so much. That would probably be my number one, actually, because that movie was awful.
I was like, oh my God, I almost turned off. I
kept waiting. I kept waiting for it because I kept hearing like, oh, it's got this great scene at the end, and I'm sitting there waiting, and I'm like, this is it? This is all you're giving me?
Oh God, that was god awful.
Yeah, from the trailers I saw, I'm just like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need to.
Well, it's like how they say everything on Netflix now is the newest and scariest thing people have ever seen, and I'm like, these people haven't watched many things, have they?
Oh no, I took a break from watching a lot of Netflix horror films and started watching the stupid shit that was on Tubi.
Yeah, I'm very
stupid shit on Tubi. Tubi is like the epitome of we're going to get all the low budget filmmakers and give them a spot to put their shitty ass horror movies on.
But I'd rather watch those. They're a lot more fun.
Well, yeah. Well, that's where my next one comes from, which is Summoning the Spirit, which was awful too. That came out last year, and the ideal was interesting, but it was so bland and boring. It was ridiculous. Let's have a group of cultists, environmentalists who live out in the wilderness and fucking have either one of you seen it, first of all? Summoning the Spirit. So the Summoning the Spirit is like a goddamn people who worship a fucking Bigfoot, who uses the Bigfoot to kill people who don't acquiesce to their way of life. And that may actually seem like an interesting concept until you're watching it and shit, no one's died in like 40 minutes. When the fuck is this movie gonna start? I'm like, oh, but we're getting into the characters. Yes, but the characters are horrible. I want to see some death by some fucking Bigfoot. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. I mean, it's great. It could have been a good concept. People who worship fucking Bigfoot in the wilderness, who used fucking Bigfoot to kill people who try to, yeah, it was an interesting concept, but it's fucking boring. I was like, holy shit. Yeah, but I spent a lot of last year catching up with 2022 films. So I'm
because I was gonna say, was Skinamarink 2023 or was that a 2022?
This was 2023.
It was released at theaters in 2023.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that's why it didn't pop up for me, because it wasn't officially made or whatever in 23.
One I have to say, if you have not seen, that surprised me, was Wolf Hollow, which I saw on Tubi too.
That's the one with the guy who wrote and directed it is the main star, and he's the police officer, right?
He's a police officer who never believes in the werewolves.
So people love that movie so much, and we watched it and thought it was the stupidest thing we have ever seen.
I thought that was a great concept.
I remember liking a certain part of it, but I was so over him and his like pretentiousness.
Well, see, that's why I liked it so much, because that's not something you see a lot in movies. The main character who is so much like that he bugs the hell out of everyone in the police force that is supposed to be his co-workers. And he gets his ass whooped towards the end. And then, of course, it's revealed, you know, a fucking tall-ass guy. The idea of them not using a real werewolf and him saying it's not a fucking real werewolf the entire time, I thought was brilliant, because everybody believes it is.
Yeah.
But yes, you're right. The main character is so narcissistically annoying that it can turn people off.
Unlikable.
So unlikable.
Because like the rest of the movie, like the story was great. I love the scene where he's like trying to tell his daughter in the middle of the road, like, what, do you want a Band-Aid? And then the werewolf comes in and like grabs her or whatever. And I was like, that's pretty good. But no, he was so unlikable, it ruined the rest of the movie for us.
That was the thing I liked about it, because I'm a little bit jaded about like Philip gets sometimes when you see the same damn thing over and over again. So when there's something like that just kind of throws all of the rules out, I kind of gravitated towards it a little bit more. That's why I was hoping Skinamarink was going to be so good. I was like, I heard so much shit about it. And I was like, oh, this should be right up my alley. And then I watched the shit and I'm like,
yeah,
shit, man. Oh man, I just fall asleep again. It was just up 3 seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably most of what I saw last year in terms of horrible movies.
Because I was going to say, I saw a lot more outside of this. I had 35 movies that came out this year that I saw, and then I saw so many other ones.
No, yeah.
I think my total count was, I saw 47 films this year.
That's it?
That's it?
Yeah. Well, that came out this year.
Okay, that came out this year. Okay.
Jeez.
Yeah. It came out this year specifically.
The movies that I thought were good this year, I had about 16, and I had 13 movies that I still need to see that I haven't seen yet.
I got like 40 or 50 movies for last year I haven't gotten around. I didn't watch any dramas or comedies last year at all. I am so fucking far behind, it's ridiculous.
You watched Dungeons and Dragons. That's a comedy.
Yeah, but that's a fantasy. I was hoping some dragons would eat some people. I got a big fat dragon, which I wasn't expecting, tear a shithole on a lot of people.
So brilliant.
It was. I'm like, dude, I don't need any more normal dragons.
And so I think I think that came out at the wrong time because do either of you play video games very heavily?
Yes.
I haven't played a video game in years.
Have you played Baldur's Gate 3 yet?
I have not. It's on my list.
With Baldur's Gate 3 coming out this year, and the huge amount of people who've wanted it, they've changed from like just digital release to now they're getting a physical release in the spring.
Finally.
But I mean, it's such a big Dungeons and Dragons background thing. With that coming out, right now would be the perfect time to bring out another Dungeons and Dragons movie because it was like multiple award-winning best game of the year.
Yeah.
So everybody's playing it. Everyone's now understanding Dungeons and Dragons. They would understand the characters, the places, the monsters more. So they just released it a year too early.
Yeah. Well, also, I think the issue the movie had of releases, I think it was let me see.
Yeah, it was a spring release. It was like January, February.
March. Okay, it came out in March. I think the issue too was like I think it was competing against other films like
yeah, there was something else around that time, but no, like we started playing Baldur's Gate and we were like, we need to go back and watch Dungeons and Dragons because it makes it so much more fun. You understand so much more. So it really was released a year too early. If it was released like now, like almost a year later, it would be making record numbers.
Of course, because everything else has been pushed back to 2025.
Well, no, and I was just saying with the new Dungeons and Dragons game that came out, Baldur's Gate 3, which won like all the best game of the year awards, which is all Dungeons and Dragons, right now would have been the perfect time because people who've never played D&D are playing this game en masse. Yeah. And I mean, now they can understand the movie better. So
yeah, Dungeons and Dragons. So it was released on March 31st, and like 5 days after that, the Super Mario movie came out. So it got killed by that.
Well, people weren't expecting Super Mario to be as big as it was either.
I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. I really didn't want to see it because of Chris Pratt, but then I found myself actually liking the movie.
It's a fun movie.
It's fun.
I haven't seen it yet. My son's seen it like 1,000 times. So I've seen scenes, and because I've seen just scenes, I haven't bothered to go through and watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole Bowser song thing is a little overdone, but I think it's very nostalgic. Yeah.
I just need another Lego movie. I don't want to see all that.
I wish. No, what did those guys just make this year? Because they just did something else that was really big and really good.
I mean, they've got a hand in
because they're the guys who do. Because they're doing the Deadpool movies. They've got the Spider-Verse movies, and then there was something else that they did. I thought.
Let me see what they've got. What they're up to.
I forgot what the other one is. Phil Lord and who else?
Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
Yeah,
Chris Miller.
Let's see. They let's see.
Yeah, Strays. They did Strays.
That's right. That's not the one I was thinking about, though.
They were producers on Cocaine Bear and Strays.
I knew they were producers of Cocaine Bear.
Cocaine Bear, I thought was phenomenal. We had so much fun watching that.
Oh yeah, that's the easily rewatchable movie right there, dude.
Yeah,
easily rewatchable.
But if you haven't watched The After Party on Apple TV yet, they've got really 2 good seasons. It's a murder mystery comedy with rotating cast, and they just do a phenomenal job. I love the lead guy, Sam Richardson.
Welcome, Space Brothers.
All right. Do we want to
go ahead and start?
Do we want to start, or do we want to do our top
5,
or do our top 5?
Let's do you want to do a quick top 5?
Go do a quick top 5 so we can start.
Okay. Top 5. Brought to you by Phil Bray. Number 5 is Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Again, it's I think Guardians of the Galaxy overall, the series, like that is probably the most solid Marvel like series like they had, where mostly every single movie is decent or great. Again, everything with Rocket was great. Everything with the villain was great. I enjoyed it. Number 4, Barbie.
Yes.
Again, it's just it's way better than it should have been with the title Barbie. Like, damn. Number 3, Godzilla minus one. I saw that with Kevin. Again, it solved the biggest issue a lot of people have with Godzilla movies, where the human story is not the most interesting, and it's so interesting. Like they did such a great job.
You don't watch the Godzilla movies. That's all it is.
Number 2 is Across the Spider-Verse. Again, first Spider-Verse was great. Second one just as great. I'm excited for a third one. And then number 1, this is something probably neither one of you have seen, Iron Claw. So it's an A24 movie. It's about
the boxing
wrestler.
family.
Yeah, it's about the wrestler stuff. And again, it made me cry at the end. If you have brothers,
snap.
I know. I barely cry in movies, so like that's why that's high marks. It's Zac Efron did amazing. The whole cast is amazing. Again, if you're even if you don't like wrestling, I think it's a movie you can watch because they do a good job covering it. And again, just like for me, if you have siblings, especially if you have brothers, it hits hard when you with that. So it kind of how Beau is Afraid spoke a lot to you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Iron Claw spoke a lot to me because I'm a one of 3 brothers. So like everything with the brother love ship, it's just like that hit way close to home to me. So yep.
I go ahead. I was about to say with that movie, Iron Claw. The reason why I have no interest in it is because it sounds like the exact same fucking story that is Fighting with My Family, which I absolutely loved. So I was like, fuck! This only came out years ago. I don't need to see it again. That's literally why I had no interest.
It sounds like that's like the historical story for every single wrestler, boxer, whatever.
It does.
It all seems to be about the exact same thing.
I would say it's a little different because again, it's about the first half of the movie is very slow because you see the camaraderie with the brothers. That's the whole thing is there's no like fighting with your family. It's not like fighting with your family because the difference is all the brothers, the entire movie, like they're close. Like that's the big thing is they're all close. There's no squabbling. It's just bad stuff happens to them. Just circumstantial. Like again, they had to cut one of the brothers out of the movie because of, again, some of the tragedies just hit the same note. But yeah, definitely, if the comparison is Fighting with Your Family, it is nothing like Fighting with Your Family with that. Again, it is a lot more like, because again, the whole entire movie is not about them fighting. It's about them, brothers working together and just bad shit happening.
Okay, so my 5, it's actually 6. I have a tie for third. 5 is Across the Spider-Verse, because I love Spider-Man. He's my second favorite superhero of all time. I've read more of his comic books than almost anybody else's. 4 is Thanksgiving. If you have not seen it, it is the most fun I've had in a long time watching a movie. We watched all of the original commercials before or in between the Grindhouse movies, and then went and saw it that same day. And it was so much fun. Some of the like shot for shot scenes that they redid are just genius. Number 3, I have a tie just because they're on opposite ends of the spectrum. I've got Beau is Afraid and then Boogeyman, because Boogeyman is one of my favorite Stephen King short stories. And the way they adapted it was fucking genius. Because it's not the character in the short story is in the movie, but then it's another family experiencing and learning from him what happened. So I thought those were good. Barbie was number 2. Watched it way too many times. I sing I'm Just Ken at least once a day. And then number 1 is Dungeons and Dragons. So
it's your number 1, huh?
Yeah. I mean, we just keep going back and watching Dungeons and Dragons and Barbie, so they can't not be at the top of my list.
Yeah, it almost sounds like it's what do you call it? Your guilty pleasure movie instead of being your best movie.
I mean they were both
number 6 on me. It was so close to making it to the
They
top.
were both really well done. I mean, like everything with Barbie, watching the behind the scenes features and how they coming as a girl who grew up with some of these exact Barbies and seeing them throw in the little the details and stuff like that of like the different outfit names and everything else is just hysterical.
The set design is amazing.
Greta Gerwig does such a good job with almost anything she touches.
I wasn't that big of a fan of Little Women.
Well, I didn't like Little Women because that's Little Women. We also just watched what was the one she starred in with Adam
Lady Bird?
Or with Adam Driver.
I I think I know what you're talking about, but I haven't seen it yet.
The one on Netflix where they're the family.
Yeah, I haven't seen that
Yeah.
one yet. I haven't
We
seen
just watched that one, and it is so surreal and funny. It's very, very interesting.
Let's see.
All right, give me 1 second. I'll have you mine. Oh, I
Let's
forgot
see.
about that.
With Adam Driver.
Did either one of you see Sick?
No.
I don't think so.
Sick. It's by Kevin Williamson, who did the original Scream. He kind of plays with the whole what do you call it? The pandemic with Sick. It's actually fucking clever. I was surprised by that one. It's not a great movie. It's a very clever movie, just like he did with Scream.
White Noise is what you're thinking of.
Yes, White Noise. It was very well done.
I hated White Noise. The one with Michael Keaton?
No.
Oh.
No.
I'm like, dude, that's a horrible movie. What are you
No, this is the Adam Driver and Greta Gerwig one.
Oh,
And
I,
Don Cheadle.
And Andre 3000.
I don't.
It came on Netflix.
Yeah, it was a Netflix specialty.
I thought it was like a different title though.
I think yeah, because it's based on a book. I can't remember what the book is called, but it's not White Noise.
Yep, Mike.
Is it?
Oh wait, I have seen that poster. Okay, yeah.
No, it's the book is also called White Noise.
Yeah, I had to look up about the book a little bit to understand the movie. Like I got just enough of the movie, and then the book filled in the rest of the spaces that I missed. But
Okay. I got mine now.
Okay.
I got mine. Keep in mind that I'm a little behind. I haven't watched a lot of shit. So some of the movies that probably would be on my list aren't on my list because I fucking haven't seen them. Because I haven't seen Barbie yet. And I am dying to see it because I absolutely loved Lady Bird and just thought Little Women was a modern day version of the story. And then like a lot of the choice she made. But I understand that I've seen fucking 5 different versions of Little Women. So
Yeah.
all right. I'm going to go with more than y'all only because I didn't want to take them off the list. So don't laugh at me when I say my first one, which is number 7, which is fucking Renfield. I can just keep fucking watching that fucking movie.
I love that movie. I love how they did the opening where they put their faces on the old version. Oh my God. It was such a great movie.
I have a blast watching that movie.
My only issue is Renfield was like everything with Nicholas Hoult and Nicolas Cage was amazing. Everything with Awkwafina is the only things I didn't like.
Yeah, I like that part.
Yeah, she was okay. I didn't really care at the end of the day, but the other two made up for it.
Yeah, the other two are like fucking brilliant together.
Yes.
So good.
And Jean-Ralphio is the bad guy. I mean, come on.
So funny. Number 6, of course, is gonna be Dungeons and Dragons, so that's why I added those two. My number 5 was Evil Dead Rise. I fucking love it.
Oh yeah, I did love that. It wasn't on my top ones because I love some of the other ones more, but no, Evil Dead Rise was.
I loved Evil Dead Rise. Number 4 was Spider-Man Across the whatever the fuck Spider-Verse one it is. I've seen that 3 times now because I keep watching it with my son. My son keeps falling asleep. That movie's too long for kids. He's fallen asleep twice through it. He likes it, but he's fallen asleep twice. I just love the fucking movie. Number 3 is The Creator. Fucking love The Creator. Number 2 is Godzilla -1. And then number 1 was Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is still my favorite movie of the year. But I'm pretty sure that if I had seen Barbie would be in there because I love those type of films that throw people's expectations off of the story. It's one of the reasons why I like Gus Van Sant. I mean, To Die For is one of my favorite films because it throws your expectations out the fucking window when you're watching the movie. I love those type of movies. And
yeah,
I could never get my fucking wife on the same schedule to go see it. And because she wanted to see it as well. So she said, oh, wait, we're going to go see it here. And then we wouldn't go see it. And then it comes out on streaming and she fucking watches it without me. So now I haven't seen the fucking movie. I was like, God damn it.
Yeah, no, we did Barbenheimer where we went and saw Oppenheimer, took an hour and a half to get some dinner and some more drinks, and then saw Barbie. And it definitely made the night better because going home after Oppenheimer was very difficult.
I fucking loved Oppenheimer.
It was really good, but it's one of those ones that I've watched once and I'll probably never see it again.
Well, see, my problem is I keep going back to the story. I've read the book it's based on. Mm-hmm. I've read graphic novels that are based on the book that's based on the story. I've read all that shit. I was dying. I'm like, oh yeah, let's see this in the fucking movie now. So I loved it. I thought the movie did a great job for it. And if it had not come out this year, Godzilla surprisingly would be my number 1 film of the year. Godzilla has never been my number 1 film of any year, and I've seen like 5 of them at the theater. Because I am the guy who seeks out, like, I saw Shin Godzilla, I've seen the original Godzilla, Godzilla 2000. I go to the movies when these fucking movies come out. I'm a huge Godzilla fan.
I mean, again, Godzilla Minus One is just good. It's just a good movie. Again, they just did a really good job. It's one of like it's doing so good at the box office, which I'm glad to hear.
Well, it's a $15 million movie. You gotta remember, Japanese people don't spend a shit ton of money on their movies. A $15 million movie that's making what I think 120 across the world right now. That's like gangbusters to these guys. It's like, holy shit, we actually made money in America? That never happens.
Yeah, it was supposed to like leave theaters, and then everybody was like, no, people still need to see it, and they extended the release. So it good for them. Yeah, I'm excited once it starts streaming because it's not by us anymore. But
then the creator too, I like the creator. Again, the world building was amazing. Everything looked amazing with it. Like, again, that was another movie. Like, when you see the budgets like that, and then you compare all the stupid stuff that like Marvel's doing, Disney's doing, with it spending twice as much, and it's just like not looking as good. It's just kind of like
it doesn't look as good. It doesn't have a great story like some of these other projects do.
Well, keep in mind that a lot of the stuff is being outsourced to other countries, so they're not vying for every special effects person in America to do their films. That's another thing I gotta keep in mind. And
like the creator looks way better than Ant-Man does, and Ant-Man's budget's way fucking more.
Yeah. But you also gotta remember that Ant-Man is part of Disney, which is their budget. You have to ask your question this. How much is the special effects budget versus the budget to actually produce a Disney film, and how many people they are paying out the ass? That is what you have to ask. I guarantee you most of the money for the creator went to the special effects to make it right. Whereas with Ant-Man, I guarantee you most of that budget did not go to special effects. I'm guaranteeing you Michael Douglas is still making a pretty penny off the little bit of screen time he has and everyone else in that damn movie.
Most of it goes to the executive producers, where there's like the 12 of them who've changed the script 17 times.
Yeah, no.
Because they're definitely not paying their employees top rate. I know that whole CGI controversy came out with them having to work like 20 hours a day to make the movie finish on time.
And get pulled from that movie to go work on Black Panther, I believe. Yep. Yeah, you know. They lucked out with Guardians of the Galaxy 3. They didn't seem to have any issues with that. But Ant-Man has never been like the top tier of their films. Like Ant-Man 1 and Ant-Man 2 just make a good amount of money. They're not they're not the Marvels.
Yeah, and then the Marvels is now like the lowest grossing MCU movie of all time, which, I mean, I watched it. It was fine. I mean, I think the actress that plays Kamala Khan is like, she's the bread and butter. She's the person that makes that movie.
Because she's excited.
But she can't sell a movie.
No, she's excited to be in it. She's excited to be part of the universe and be that character. But yeah, I mean, it's like all the other ones. They've had so many script issues and all the drama behind the scenes that nothing is really well done through Marvel anymore. And then James Gunn is leaving and doing DC. So there goes most of the current Marvel talent.
Disney's got plenty of talent. They're just too busy working on Mandalorian and the rest of those shitty ass shows.
No, because all of those have gone down the drain too. They just need a...
I don't know if were any of them ever any good.
So Mandalorian was good the first season. The second season was pretty decent, and then the like most recent seasons, it's been like, how many celebrities can we throw into the background? And it just kind of takes you out of it. Oh, trust me,
they're not in the background. They're right straight and center. We've got to have
Lizzo
Grogu
and Jack Black.
Yeah, getting held by Lizzo. It's like, oh look, is Lizzo holding Grogu? Isn't that a big thing?
Yeah, like I had Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, like they did great things with it, and then they kind of just like lost control of it because, you know, Disney's got to have their finger in every pot of the process.
Well, keep in mind that Disney is it's a company ran by 3 people. The main Disney CEO / God oversight person, then Kevin Feige of everything Marvel, who thinks he's God over everything Marvel, and of course is it Kennedy, who's over everything over
Star Wars.
So and everything else is just nothing. All the rest of their stuff that's on streaming that no one's watching, all those little shows that last one season because no one's watching, that's all by someone else that they kind of forget is in the corner somewhere because they're not spending any real money for that.
Well, and we're so oversaturated right now with Star Wars and Disney and Marvel. It's just like, just stop for a little bit, put out one movie a year instead of 3 or 4, and maybe you'll have some better stuff come out.
Okay, I'll say this right out loud. If no one's ever been paying any attention to what I've said, I said the moment that Disney buys 20th Century Fox is the moment that you're gonna have less shit because they're not gonna know what to do with all this content. So they're pumping all the shit that 20th Century had into Hulu. And then you see the random film that they do theatrical because they never want to spend a bunch of money on the stuff that they got for 20th Century Fox. They just have to do it because it's part of the contract before they bought the shit. Disney only ever puts out 11 to 15 films a year. They're not gonna change that because they want the billion-dollar films. And that is Star Wars. That's going to be their remakes, live-action remakes of fucking shitty-ass anime movies. And it's going to be everything that's Marvel. Everything else, they don't care what happens to.
Oh, yeah, no.
That's why I like that Disney's taking the L this year. I'm not sure if you both heard, but officially this year, usually Disney's always the top global, I think, producer. Like, they always make the most money of all the companies. This year, they officially lost to Universal. Universal made more money than Disney has. I don't know how often that happens, but it doesn't sound like that's
it's only been 4 years. I think it's been 4 years. But you got to keep in mind, Disney took everything from 20th Century Fox. So everything from Avatar and all the other franchises that 20th Century Fox owned, but Disney had to distribute, went into their bottom line. It was not so clear a gap between Disney and everyone else. There was a huge gap for like 4 years because of so much shit that they were putting out because of that. But when you start looking at when it was just Disney and Pixar, the gap was much smaller because they had so much competition. But now the reason why is they pumped out a lot of shit in the last year because they don't know what to do with it. Kevin Feige they kind of gave him the you're going to make $1 billion movies. Fuck, make 5, make 6 a year. You know,
so and they've lost the quality and they've gone with just the quantity amount.
Well, yeah.
That's why I'm glad a lot of their movies have bombed. Like again, Indiana Jones bombed, Wish bombed. I think Little Mermaid did okay.
No, it mostly bombed too. Everything they put out this year basically bombed.
But keep in mind, it's not just the U.S. Disney never relied on the U.S. for their money. They relied on
it was all
China. China used to be a huge moneymaker for Disney. It is no longer that. When they could rely on fucking The Little Mermaid to gross $300 million in China, when it now only grows like $50 million, they can't rely on that shit anymore.
No.
What do you think all the Marvel movies did overseas? They made all their money overseas. Fast and Furious made their money overseas. It was never a big franchise here in the U.S. It was a big franchise in China and the rest of the world. Fast and Furious, this is the first one that did not do well since I think the 4th one because it made nothing in China. And that's usually a huge moneymaker. Yeah. And the thing is, China's like, we don't fucking need you American anymore. We can make our own goddamn movies. And they're right. And but Disney especially was reliant on that foreign dollar to make for their big overhead. Like it can make $250 million movies if half of their profit is coming from another country. They can't do that now because China said, fuck you, we're making our own blockbusters. And that's what they've been doing. They're not reliant, and they simply aren't releasing half the movies either. You know, you used to be able to get your movie in China, even though they had blackout periods. You'd still be able to get your big budget movies over there. China said, yeah, we don't want that shit. We got our own blockbusters. Because you guys in America aren't playing our blockbusters, why should we play yours? Like, it's the double standard. No theaters over here play Chinese movies to the extent that they used to play American films. Like, over here in the U.S., their Chinese movies may get 150 screens. But in China, our American films are going to get 4,000 screens. There's a huge gap. So of course the country's gonna say, you know what, we don't need your shit anymore. We just make our own shit. You know?
Yeah.
And that's why you have the diversified cast and stuff like Fast and Furious. They go to China and all the Asian countries to try and get into that market, because that is the second largest market is China.
Yeah.
China is the second largest market in the world, and this year they overtook the U.S. as the highest grossing market in the world. We grossed, I think, 9 billion. They grossed, I think, 11. So
yeah, I mean, you think about everything that Netflix releases from overseas, especially, and we've had a huge influx in any kind of Asian TV show or movie just on Netflix alone. I mean, I'm not surprised.
Thai, fucking Asian, Indian. All of these, Netflix has got almost a huge monopoly on all the other countries because they're in those countries. Disney has actually been cutting down some of their studios in other countries because they realize they can't make a profit from them. And it's always been about profit for Disney. Whereas Netflix is all about content. Now, they may have a lot of fucking content, but they're trying to appease every culture to be in every country. So they're going to produce a bunch of Indian shows that now you can see streaming on Netflix. If you're Indian in America, you're going to be watching the Indian shows. Thai, fucking shit ton of Thai movies on Netflix. Korean, holy shit, they up. There's a ton of, and they're not even just doing horror, they're doing romance, they're doing
everything.
Everything. Chinese movies you see on fucking Netflix. Now, are you going to see a lot of Chinese movies on Disney? No. You're not gonna see them on there. But that's how I saw Wandering Earth, one of the highest grossing Chinese movies in Chinese history. Saw it on Netflix. Great movie. I can't wait to see the second one too.
Yeah, because like you even look at Hulu, which is Disney owned, and there's almost no foreign films on there at all.
Nope. Because, in next year when Disney completely owns Hulu, if they haven't already passed that whole, they haven't passed the money.
It's supposed to be happening in the next month or so, I believe.
Yeah.
They're becoming one service.
Yeah, I was like, well, Disney's going to own Hulu, and you know what they're going to have on Hulu? Everything that they don't want to have on Disney, except for the Netflix Marvel series, which everyone still complains are on Disney because they're too violent. They should be on Hulu. But hey, it is what it is. But are you guys ready for a show?
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody who's been watching this is a special episode where we've been meandering about our top movies and our worst movies of the year. I want to thank you for joining us here for this little hour-long chit-chat conversation where we talked about a little bit of everything. And I hope you'll come back and see us in our next show. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production, produced by Kevin L. Powers, executive produced by Kelly A. Inoka, and originally filmed via Zoom technology. Conversations in Horror is hosted by Kevin L. Powers and co-hosted by various horror film lovers and filmmakers. To learn more about Mr. Powers, please make sure to check out his Patreon page and other social media platforms. Conversations in Horror is copyright 2024 Broken Lighthouse Pictures production.